If you've got yourself your new GoPro Hero8 or even one of the older models, you've always struggled trying to figure out what settings to use to take video out in the surf, well, this is a video for you, so stay tuned. So before you get started in setting it up, the first thing you got to do is think about what you actually want to shoot. So if you want to go and shoot the barrels or inside the barrels, then that's one lot of settings you'll use. Alternatively, if you're out there with your mates or you want to shoot some more distant shots or some landscapes, some landscaping sort of videos, then that'll be the second sort of settings that I'll go through. So if you go into your preset screen, down the bottom and hit that little plus signal, that'll allow you to set up your settings. The beauty of the GoPro Hero8 is you can actually set both settings up for in the wave or distance, and set it as a preset, and then in the surf you can swap it around. The resolution I set at 2.7K. Pretty much most of the stuff I shoot will be in 2.7. I don't use 4K. There's a number of reasons for that. The first main reason is it uses up a lot of space on your hard drive and on your SD card in the camera. It also stops you being able to use some of the functionality of the GoPro, like some of the stabilisation gets turned off, especially if you want to shoot in higher frame rates as well as at 4K. The other reason I don't shoot in 4K is that the codec it uses for its footage is H.265, which is the newer codec. And what you'll find is most computers actually won't allow you to edit the footage, the 265 footage very well. It'll be very jumpy and very blocky, and I've got a couple-year-old computer, so it's not going to help me when I'm doing my editing. So for frame rate, if I'm shooting in the barrel shots and the like, I'll generally shoot at 120 frames a second. It just means that I can slow the footage right down to nice smooth slow-mo down to 25%. Now if I'm shooting more distance shots, I'll set the frame rate to 60 frames a second. The reason I'll do that is that I want to have the lens, which I'm going to go into in a minute, I'm going to have the lens set at narrow as opposed to wide. If you've got your lens set for narrow, it won't shoot at 120 frames a second at 2.7K. So that's the only reason I set it at 60 frames a second when I'm shooting that bit longer stuff. But I'll go into the lens in a minute. So for my lens setting, if I'm going for that in the barrel shot, I'll use the native lens for the GoPro, which is the wide angle. So the wide angle will just allow you to catch the full wave, the full barrel up nice and close. The last thing you want, if you're shooting from inside the barrel, is it's trying to shoot a bit further away and you'll miss most of the wave. So set it to wide. One of the issues with setting it to wide is you can't have it on have your hyper smooth on boost mode. You can only have it on hyper smooth 2.0. Boost is the highest setting for your hyper smooth. But if you're really concerned about having the hyper smooth boost mode on, then you can always still set to 60 frames a second, as you can see when you change it around. That'll allow you to have the most stabilisation. I find in the surf anyway that hyper smooth 2.0 is fine for what you're trying to do. If you're not running along, there's not as much bouncing. And the fact you're in the ocean and you're floating means it sort of smooths it out anyway. The one thing about the wide setting on the lens is it does have that fisheye effect. So if you've got straight lines in your footage, on the edge of your footage, you'll find that it will distort those straight lines. But you're in the surf, the majority of the stuff out here is curved anyway, so it doesn't have that issue. So if I'm trying to shoot footage that's a little bit further away, so surfers coming towards me or bodyboarders or breaking waves where I don't want to be in the barrel itself, I'll set the lens to narrow, which is the equivalent of a 27mm lens on a normal camera. So it just gets you that little bit further away and just brings the surface in that little bit closer. So yeah, if you have one of the older models like the Hero 6 or 7 or the 5, etc., you can set it to linear, which will just get you that little bit closer to the action. Now, one of the advantages of the narrow mode, because it shoots only in 60 frames a second, if you go and now look on your hyper smooth, you can now set it to boost, so you can get that slightly silkier smooth stability on your camera. As I said, it's not that it's really needed, but if it's there to use, you might as well. So that's it in relation to the variance of the settings between shooting close or shooting distance. The rest of the stuff that I've set up is in the Pro Tune section, so swipe it down a bit further. So for bit rate, I'll set my bit rate to high. 2.7K into 4K basically shoots the footage at 100 megabytes per second. Basically it's saving the most information to your file, so makes it, when you're editing it, it means you can do a little bit more with it. For shutter, I set my shutter for auto. I just let the GoPro figure out how fast it wants to shoot. The only times I'd change that if I was going to be shooting cinematic footage, just to get that motion blur, make that really nice motion blur, but you're not going to use that out in the surf, so I just leave my shutter at auto. So, exposure, I set it either 0 or minus 0.5. Sometimes in really sunny days, it just allows you not to blow the shot out too much. It's starting to rain, but yeah, so for white balance, I'll set my white balance to auto. There's 11 different settings in the GoPro Hero8 for white balance. Range from 2700 Kelvin all the way up to 6500 Kelvin. This just, white balance just adjusts the tint of your shot or your video. Native basically does no white balance, so it's just straight out of camera. When I set it to auto, I found the GoPro works really well at figuring out the white balance of what you're doing and making it as natural as what you can see the footage, so out of the eye. ISO, I set minimum ISO at 100 and maximum ISO at 400. The GoPro is not great at shooting in low light, but it's not bad. But once you go above the 400 mark, it starts to get grainy, and yeah, I prefer to have my ISO between 100 and 400. So 100 minimum, 400 maximum. Sharpness, I set that to about medium. Get always sharpen a little bit in post. For colour setting, I'll set my GoPro to GoPro colour. I used to use flat, and I have historically always used flat for my videos up until even when I started using the Hero8. However, I found the amount of work you've got to do in post to get the colours just right. The Hero8 actually does a really good job of doing it itself, so you can still colour correct and you can still colour grade a little bit in post, but I just find it really, it's probably a bit of a waste of time. Wind, I just set it to auto, it picks if it's windy. They put more microphones on it, but out in the surf the water will get in the microphone, so you got to clear it if you want to talk into it like this. Just like blowing into the microphone, but you're not generally going to be vlogging when you're out in the water, although that's what I'm doing now. But I think that should just about set you up for your settings of your GoPro when you're doing videos in the water. As I said, any questions, put them down below. Anyway, hope you get something out of this video. Until next time, I might see you out in the water. Anyway, bye.